evening, everybody in Leeds. Thank you very much indeed for turning out to see us on a chilly evening. I've got a red bus behind me, in case you haven't spotted it.
Really?
You will have seen a red bus a little while ago, maybe about 20 months ago.
Yeah.
A bus that had a slightly different number on it. The number on the, apart from the difference between the numbers, the one on the other bus was a negative figure, in that that money was coming back to us. This figure comes from the government's own review, now that we know what the details are likely to be. It's not a figure that we've made up. If you want to understand the background to it, my colleague Philip Richmond was on the Daily Politics show this lunchtime today. Look at that on iPlayer, and he will explain very clearly where the number comes from. And we're very fortunate here this evening to have some very good speakers for you. But before I introduce the speakers, can I just ask you all who are here to just make a note of this website? I see some of you filming and taking photos, that's wonderful. Please tweet them and Facebook them to all your friends this evening. Crowds have been growing as we've been on our way. And we've just come from a fantastic lunchtime session in Liverpool and a wonderful session this afternoon in Manchester, where we are saying to people, we are not rerunning the referendum. We accept the result, but now we know the details, we're asking people, is it worth it? Now we will all have different views on that, but I think it is right that we ask the question, is it worth it? My mother was 88 last week and I bought her a toaster. I'm a very generous son. And there was a little bit of self-interest in there as well. Not that I still live with my mother, by the way. But on the receipt that I got, it said that if I wasn't happy with my purchase, I can take 28 days to change my mind, and I can take it back. If it doesn't do what it says it was going to do, if the fuse goes or the toast gets burnt, I can take it back. And that's what we're saying. Is this all really worth it? So I'm going to move on very quickly because our first speaker needs to get away. He's told me he's going to a party. Now I thought that sounded like a bit of a knees up, but he tells me it's the Labour Party, which probably is a bit of a knees up actually, isn't it, Richard? So can I, without further ado, introduce you to Richard Corbett MEP.
Thank you very much, and first congratulations on doing this, because I think this is very necessary. We all remember that other red bus that went around in the referendum campaign, but recent opinion polls show that there is still a large number of people who actually believe that Brexit will save us money, will bring it back, and it will all go to the NHS. In fact, the truth is the opposite. This could be called the Truth Bus, because it's going round, unlike the one from nearly 2 years ago, it's going round with a truthful message, or at least a message that is based on the best estimates of the government itself. Even this Brexit-obsessed government's own figures are saying that Brexit is going to be a costly, damaging exercise. So I think we should actually put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who voted to leave, based on what was said at the time of the referendum, not just about the money, but about many other things. But not every Leave voter voted for Brexit at any cost. They were told it would save money, would all go to the NHS, but it's becoming clearer by the day that Brexit is actually a costly exercise, a damaging exercise, a job-destroying exercise. And those voters are entitled to say, wait a minute, that's not what I was told, that's not what we were promised, and it's damn well not what I voted for. We should ensure that people have the chance to reconsider now that it's becoming clearer, or when it becomes clearer, what Brexit actually entails. Now, I don't often agree with David Davis, as you could expect. In fact, I can only think of one thing he said that I actually agree with. But that one thing is very important. It's when he said, if a democracy cannot change its mind, it ceases to be a democracy. I think we should hold him to his word. Thank you very much.
Yay!
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. You're off to the station now. I'm not chasing you away, but you're welcome to stay. Thank you very much indeed. Just to keep you in suspense for a little while, we've got two more speakers for you, but I've also got a big surprise for you right at the end. So don't go away. And if you've got any friends over the road, give them a quick text and tell them, because they'll be disappointed if they miss it. Dick Newby is leader of the Lib Dems in the House of Lords. Very kindly agreed to come along this evening and say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Newby.
Thank you very much. We started the committee stage of the House of Lords on Wednesday, and we had a discussion about whether we should stay in the customs union. And everybody was saying, of course we should stay in the customs union. And Norman Lamont, who was half asleep for the first part of the debate, suddenly woke up and said, got to his feet and said, I didn't intend to speak, but somebody's got to speak in favour of leaving the customs union. It seems there's only me who wants to do so. He then wittered on for a bit, and he was interrupted by one of my colleagues who pointed out that the government said that if we left the customs union, we were going to be a lot worse off, as per the bus. And the best response he could come up with was, oh, he said, but those are just figures on a piece of paper. Now, you know you've won the argument if that's the best a former Chancellor of the Exchequer can say. Because when he was Chancellor, he took quite a lot of notice of figures on a bit of paper. And he lost the argument, so it was a great moment. But the killer argument as to why we should be having another vote when we see the terms was given by a splendid sort of Captain Birdseye figure, Lord Lisvane, former Chief Clerk to in the Commons. When we had the second reading debate, he said, I've got 3 nervous maiden aunts who took a vote, decided that they wanted to go to the cinema on Saturday and asked me to go and find out what was on. And the choice was Reservoir Dogs and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he said, as a dutiful nephew, shouldn't I give those 3 nervous maiden aunts the chance to think again? Now that's the killer argument, isn't it? So we've got to get to the point where people think again, because when they do think again, when they see the real costs rather than the pie-in-the-sky promises, I am very, very confident that they will vote to think again and to stay in. So what we've got to do is to get to the point, first of all, of giving them that vote. So we've got an amendment in the Lords, signed by Andrew Donis from the Labour Party, Robin Butler, former Cabinet Secretary. We're getting the Mandarin vote in droves in the Lords, because they all know what it means. And Patience Week from the Tories. We're getting huge support from the crossbenchers. We'll all support it. A lot of Labour supporters will support it. If the Labour front bench supported it, we would win this amendment for a referendum in the Lords. So if anybody's in the Labour Party here, just say to your friends, support this amendment, because that's the start of stopping it. And we've got to stop it, and we can stop it, and we will stop it.
Yay!
Thank you very much. Sorry, madam, you have a question. Can you? It sounds like a very important question. Would you like to say it on here? What is the number of the amendment, Lord Newby?
Okay, yeah. Well,
who proposed it? We don't know, but we'll find out. And I'm sure I do know because of when it's happened in the past. Keep in touch on Facebook, and the various groups will publish that, and you'll be able to contact your MPs and Lords to do that. So it's pretty chilly. We stopped for breakfast this morning in Telford, and I left my coat. I left my coat in the service station, which is fine because I've got my wallet and I've got my phone, but my house keys were in the pocket. One of my friends in Telford has driven it already and dropped it off at my mum's house. So my mother thinks I've died somewhere and somebody's returned my coat. And I can't get hold of her to tell her why my coat's now being shoved through her letterbox. Right, this bus has been crowdfunded. Philip and Charles, who is somewhere, where's Charles? There he is, had this wonderful idea and managed to get 700 people to put the money together for this bus. There's been one or two stories about the bus on the Daily Express, for example. Don't believe a word of it. There are 700 people who put their hand in their pocket to pay for this bus. I put a tenner in, I know. And that's why I'm here, because they rang me up and said, what are you doing this week? I said, well, not much. We were doing 8 days in total, 33 stops. But actually, since we started on Wednesday, we've had so many phone calls and more donations that I think, Philip, we've just added 2 more days to the tour, so we're doing 10 in total. We're heading from here to Berwick and then on up to Edinburgh and Glasgow, back to Newcastle and down back through the south of England to Oxford, out to Dover, and now, thanks to these other donations this week, we're going to East Anglia as well. So thank you to everybody that's contributed. If anybody'd like to give us any more money, we'd be very pleased to hear from you. You would like to give me some money, madam?
I gave a tenner yesterday.
You did, thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed.
I'd like to ask a question.
Please
Will
do.
you be doing the leave voting areas that probably need this most?
You're right, we've already done the number.
Hull, Grimsby, Doncaster, Rotherham.
I'm doing 33 of these, and it now sounds as if we're doing another 6 or 8 on top of that. I haven't got the itinerary in my head, but those sort of places are definitely in. We're not trying to avoid the question. We're actually saying, is it worth it? Let's just have a think about this. So, our next speaker is Michael Mowbray, and I don't think he's actually here. I had a message to say that he was running late, and he hasn't quite made it. But very fortuitously, on the way here, not at the motorway services or standing with her thumb out, we managed to find somebody else who I think you'd like to hear from. Ladies and gentlemen, Natalie Bennett from the Green Party.
Yay!
Yep. Well, hello Leeds!
Hello, Natalie!
We've had a great day today. I've been with the bus quite early from Cheadleham onwards, and you know, I think you'll forgive me because I have to confess that I'm going home to Sheffield after this. But you know, what we have to do is unite the whole country. Even Sheffield and Leeds. Let's unite to say, stop Brexit!
Hooray!
Now, congratulations to Leeds, because it doesn't look like we've got any hecklers here. But we had some hecklers, particularly in Liverpool. And one of the things they were saying is something that I get all of the time on Twitter. People saying, oh, but the country's decided and it's not democratic to change that. Well, I want to say, get you saying to everyone who says that to you, there is, from where we are now, no democratic option but to have a ratification referendum, a people's choice about where we go from here. Because, you know, I often say this, it's like if you set out from Sheffield, the referendum vote in 2016 said, drive north. Driving north from Sheffield, you might end up here in lovely Leeds.
Yay!
Or you might end up in John O'Groats. Those are 2 very different destinations. And it's very clear that our 2 largest political parties are hugely split. And the only way we can decide about whether we're happy with where they end up or not, or whether we want to turn around as the people, the public, is by the people deciding. If politicians can do a U-turn, the people have to be allowed to U-turn too if they want to.
There's nothing wrong with changing your mind.
Exactly, there's now... I'll see if I can do this. There's nothing wrong in changing your mind. Don't know about the accent, I'm not great at accents. But one of the things that we have to do is think about how we talk to people who voted leave. It's really important that that we don't, as some people are, be dismissive, be insulting. Maybe you feel angry about the result. Maybe if you're a young person who's thinking, I won't have the same freedom as my parents had, maybe you'll then be feeling, I'm angry. But don't let that anger out when you're talking to Leavers. Listen to them, empathise, understand why many people voted that way, because they were rightfully angry about the state of Britain today, about low wages, about crowded schools and hospitals, about the fact that housing is so expensive. But none of those things were caused by the EU. None of them were caused by Brussels. The problem, the reason why people feel like they need to take back control, and they're right about that, the problem is not Brussels, the problem is Westminster. The problem is austerity, the problem is neoliberalism, the problem is the direction of this country. And so we do have to take back control. So when you're talking to them, also talk about how Britain is not a democracy. We were just talking about the Daily Express. The Daily Express, one of the few times in the referendum I got in that was when I said, Brussels is more democratic than Westminster. And I'm really happy to stand that up. So let's take the mess we're in now as an opportunity. You know, I have a saying that politics should be something you do, not have done to you. By coming here this evening, all standing here in the cold, you're doing politics. Everything you can do to talk to your friends, your neighbours, your work colleagues, people who voted Leave, people who perhaps voted Remain but feel like it's all over, say to them, no it isn't. This is an opportunity to build a better Britain for everybody to get together. So the next few months are absolutely crucial to the future of Britain. I want to get to next March or whenever it is and see a much better Britain within the EU, staying in the EU, and we know the answer to this question. Is it worth it? No, it's not. We want to get together with our European friends and neighbours, welcome them when they come to Britain, celebrate free movement of people in the EU.
Yay!
And say that together we can make multinational companies pay their taxes.
Yay!
We can do that together, working together, campaigning together in a democratic Britain in the EU. Thank you.
Hooray!
Thank you very much, Natalie. I thought you said you can't do accents. That was a pretty good Australian. Right. We've actually had somebody else who's come along. It's not Victor Meldrew, but his name is Richard Wilson, who just wants to say a very few words. Now, I believe you're chair of Leeds for Europe.
Hello, I just want to plug the march that we've got coming up. Natalie said that this is a crucial year for Brexit. It really is, and time is very, very short now. We've got to put the pressure on the politicians, and we've got to act very, very fast. And it's for that reason that we've organised the Great Northern March, which is taking place in this very city. About 200 metres from here, we assemble on the 24th of March, and I've got leaflets here. I just want to urge you to encourage everybody you know and who they know to come to the march, to talk about the march, to promote the march. We need to make it significant. We need to make it large. It's not just Leeds. We've got people coming from across the north of England to be here on the 24th of March, and we want to make it massive. We've got the hedgerow closed for the day. We're going to assemble there in front of the art gallery. We're going to walk down City Square, down Ball Lane, up Vicar Lane, and back to the hedgerow where we'll have a rally. I shouldn't tell you this, but we're going to announce tomorrow we've got Lord Adonis will be one of the key speakers. And Richard Corbett has just kindly confirmed that he will speak as well, and we'll be adding more speakers in the coming weeks. But the crucial thing right now, we need money and we need publicity. We need to promote this and we need to get big numbers. So please do what you can, find out, look on our website, leedsforeurope.org, and spread the word. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Money's an interesting thing, isn't it? The big number on the bus. You remember all this money that we give to the EU? We were in Worcester last night, and the teacher stood up to speak. And he said he just had his tax report back. And on the back of his tax report, it gives you a breakdown of where the money goes and how much goes, what percentage, the police and health, pension and so on and so forth. And do you know how much a teacher in Worcester gave to the EU last year? £22. £22 for an entire year. That's not a lot of money. We've all got those statements at home. Have a look on the back of it. That's a very good number to be able to tell people. That is less than 50p a week. Not an awful lot of money, in my opinion.